Alright, boys. I admit defeat. I have no idea what I'm going to do for a video. Do either of you have any ideas of what we should do for a video? There are no stupid answers.
Well, as the new guy, I think we should build something evil. So we can defeat our enemies and eradicate them from this existence.
I stand corrected. There are stupid answers. Igor, what do you got for me?
You know, it's BS he thinks he can just be in the video. But I really think you should do a Toybox build. It's been a while since you've done one of those. They're so fun, so creative. Do that.
Yeah, that actually sounds like a lot of fun. Let's do that.
You guys never want to do what I want. So what if it's world domination and evil? You guys suck.
Let's get to the video. What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode brought to you by Backyard Zombie. And as my puppets have told me, I'm doing a Toybox build today, so sit back, relax, and let's get into how I've decided to do this project. So I watch a lot of Create Sci-Fi. I really enjoy Anthony Ferraro's work, and every time I go into like a Goodwill or a Dollar Tree, I'm always constantly thinking, can I make that look like something else? I have several videos that are like sci-fi inspired, and I've decided to do another one because I went into a Goodwill, I found this toy, and I was like, wow, this would be really cool as some kind of prop. But as I was kind of like fiddling with it, I couldn't really figure out if this was going to be a hero prop or not. Now, in the movie biz, hero props are props that you prominently see in front of the screen, and especially like the Evil Dead chainsaw, any like main hero sword, those are hero props. Lightsabers, those are hero props because you see them on screen. Now, speaking of Star Wars, there is a very famous shot here in Star Wars where this background character, who I believe has been made canon, is holding a prop. That prop is an ice cream maker. That's right, this prop right here is an ice cream maker. Now, it wasn't until years later that the Mandalorian in this shot made that prop canon and actually have use, because that is what is how the Mando was given the Beskar. So this is kind of like inspired by background props. So I'm going to be making a background prop. It's a prop that doesn't have to have like a lot of time and effort put into it, but if you just, make it work with stuff that you have lying around, stuff that you probably like aren't going to spend any money on, that you can make something look really cool that would be really cool in the background. So this is like a sci-fi horror toy box build where I'm going to be making a background prop. So sit back, relax, and let's get into this build. Okay, so I started with this Ryan's World backpack, and it actually has like a lot of, it does a lot of stuff, a lot of compartments, a lot of buttons. This is actually a hidden button that opens the bottom, which I do eventually seal, because it's kind of useless. But this is a really cool backpack toy that has just a bunch of features that I just thought would look really cool as a sci-fi-esque prop. Now, this backpack itself has a lot of potential, so we're going to be taking everything apart, cutting some things off, and we're just going to be trying to make this into something else that could be functional for a movie. So I'm going to start by taking all the screws out, and pro tip, make sure you have like a little container or something. I actually used a pencil box to hold all the screws, and we're just going to take all the screws out of every hole because we just want each individual piece off of the toy so we can, sand it and get it ready for painting later or do some customization. I'm just pointing out to where all these annoying screws are. This was actually really hard to take apart, but it went back together super easy. And now we have all these green plates of plastic apart, and we're going to do some customization on each one of these. So let's get started there. And we got to remove all the logos.
Now, I had originally thought about using this bottle as some kind of like reservoir contraption and I had this from my water gun, and I thought it was going to work really well once I glued it all together, but it ended up just not working. You're going to be seeing it throughout the video as I'm doing the casting process. But here I have my Evil Ted molds, and we're going to cast some really cool sci-fi greeblies, and I love the Evil Ted molds. They're so useful. That's where I messed up putting this rubber into the mold, but it's okay. I have several of the Evil Ted molds. I'll buy them online. But we're going to use this casting resin, and this is like the really quick setup casting resin. You mix it 1-to-1, mix it up, and then pour it into the mold, and then it heats up and turns white, and you have this really cool, you know, resin piece. We're gonna do some casting. Make sure you get it all out, and then once a part has cured, you can take it right out. Man, I love the Evil Ted molds. They're so useful, they're so good. If you can find them, I highly recommend buying them. They really need to make a series 2, but I was doing some experimenting. I was doing stuff with other parts. This is a bad batch of resin versus a good batch of resin. See how smooth it is? That means it's good. That means it didn't cure right. But it's okay. It's all a learning process. And there I'm messing with that bottle, but I do get rid of it because it just does not work out. And here I'm trying to figure out where each of the pieces are going to go to add to the prop itself. Stop messing with that water bottle, Josh. It does not work out. Then I'm going to hit some of the surfaces with some sandpaper to scratch up the surfaces so the glue has something to glue onto. I'm going to use some 5-minute epoxy. I love cheap 5-minute epoxy. It's really nice. Now, I do epoxy these to the surfaces, but I did use screws to hold some of them down because some of the epoxy just didn't agree with the plastic. But that's okay. You'll see the screws. Mapping stuff out. And now we're going to add some more of these casted pulls to other parts that will just add more to the actual prop. And then we got to take this bad boy apart. And yes, I used some Goo Gone to remove the stickers. Goo Gone is your friend. I always recommend having a bottle of Goo Gone. And now I'm just trying to figure out where these greeblies are also going to go. Super time lapse on removing all the screws and whatnot, and I made sure to take pictures so I knew how this piece went back together. But we're gonna take it all apart so we can get it ready for painting, and I individually painted a lot of these panels. Here I am screwing these parts in just for an extra safety. And then I'm adding metal pieces just to add some more detail and more fun. So I use some brackets, some nuts and bolts. It also adds weight. But now we have lights. These are dollar store lights, and I placed these throughout the prop. And then when the prop went back together, you can just see all this new added detail that makes this thing look super sci-fi, really cool. And you can open up that front compartment, which houses the battery, which took place of that old button that's useless. I just glued the bottom part together. And then you can take the battery pack out, turn it on, and now you have a fully lidded prop. It's so fun. It's very fun to mess around with. And on the inside, we have some extra lights, which add some light on the inside. And this prop now kind of looks like it does something, which is kind of cool. I spray painted a red cross on the top because I wanted this thing to look like it was maybe like a medical kit or a first aid. And now we're into the weathering process, which I'm using silver rub and buff to add some surface scratches, and then black paint to just get into all of the cracks, crevices, and scratches to make this thing look grungy and lived in. I added some more detail, some extra stuff, and that's all to your leisure to show how creative you're gonna get. And yeah, this prop is basically done. It looks really cool. And this thing does function. It does open. You can open it up. store stuff in there if you wanted to. This locks. You have access to the battery compartment. And I always fidget with the locking system. But you can keep anything you want in there. Hearts, body parts, doesn't matter. It works. It's evil, and I love it.
And there you have it, folks. That is how I made this, like, background prop. Now, as you can see, I went with, like, a red cross motif. This could be, like, a medical kit, and currently I'm having it as an organ transporter, which I think is super funny. I like to think that maybe this is what a repo man would carry in, like, Repo the Genetic Opera for the repossessed organs. You know, you're only really held back by what your imagination can think of. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a really fun time, slash like therapeutic time making this prop. And I love that I took something that I spent like $3 on and made it look like it's right off a movie set. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Consider giving it a like, consider subscribing, and hopefully we will see you in the next video brought to you by Backyard Zombie. See you guys next time.